We are awesome. Kyle, I'm just going to get right into it. I want to get right into the Ponytail. How is the Ponytail heading into Daytona 500? And when was the last time one of these drivers tried to do something to it?
You know what? Look, I got it pulled up this morning. I had to get up early and come do this stuff. So the Ponytail's still there. It's just kind of pulled up. And let me say this. Every time I see Tony Stewart, he pulls it. So that's I think he pulls it thinking I'm going to talk more. It's like a string. You know, you pull it and talk.
Joe, what do you think?
Kyle's never been at a loss for words. We've talked to him before about the ride across America, and today we're talking to him about Liberty Tax, for the tax help for U.S. veterans, Kyle.
Yeah, you know, we're excited about that. Liberty Tax came in and got involved in the sport last year with Chris Buescher, with Myatt Snyder and the Truck Series. They'll be on Myatt's truck on Friday night in the Truck Series, truck number 13. But they've got a program that they're helping veterans recover money that was taken, withheld from their taxes or from their paycheck, from their disability. And I'll let Brian talk to that because he's more of a tax guy. You don't want to talk taxes with Kyle Petty. Let me tell you that. We'll talk to Brian.
Yeah, we're certainly grateful to be partnering with Kyle and getting this message out, because the disability payments that were sent out for disabled combat veterans had taxes withheld, and they shouldn't have. And so just last week, the Department of Defense passed an act that's going to have send out communication to these veterans to let them know that they need to file an amended tax return to be able to recover that money. And so Liberty Tax, our thousands of offices across the nation, are standing ready to prepare those for free for our disabled veterans because we want to make it as easy as possible for them to get that money back. And as you can see on the screen behind us, they can go to libertytaxveteranshelp.com. and it'll have the information there. But really what we want to do is to help these combat veterans recover the money that was withheld from their disability severance lump sum that they received. It goes all the way back to veterans from 1991 all the way to current day. So this affects about 130,000 combat servicemen.
And Liberty Tax will be on the truck Friday night.
Yeah, be on the truck for Myatt Snyder. Myatt's a young guy. Ran some truck races last year, did phenomenally well. He's an up-and-comer, and Friday night, watch Daytona. Everything's about Daytona this week, man. This is about taxes, but everything's about Daytona this week.
That's right, Paul. I know you're a big Daytona guy. Go ahead, Paul. Get in there with Daytona questions.
Love Daytona. Just an absolute spectacle. You guys are obviously there. For anybody that hasn't been there, it's amazing. Kyle, obscenely early Cup-winning prediction. What driver is going to win the Cup this year?
That's a good question. You know, I think there's a lot of changes this year. You know, a lot of changes with the inspection process. Chevy has a new car this year. Are we going to see Hendrick evolve and come back to the forefront? I think they took a little bit of a backseat to the Toyotas and Joe Gibbs last year. And I think everybody took a backseat to Martin Truex. He was just phenomenal on the mile-and-a-half racetracks. And that two-car team, which is back to a single-car team, which I believe will make that team stronger as a single-car team, even though we talk about multi-car teams. But I think we're going through an evolution with the Hendrick organization, with Chase Elliott, with William Byron, with Alex Bowman, and the veteran Jimmy Johnson. Who would have thought we would be calling Jimmy Johnson a veteran? He seemed to be the young kid not too very long ago. But this year, I think as we look at the Cup Series, it's going to be, I think it's going to come down to a Chevy team this year. And I do believe it's going to be probably one of the Hendrick guys that'll be up there. I think we're going to see Chase Elliott evolve into a superstar this year.
Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was going to say that you were talking about changes. What is the biggest change with NASCAR this year? Last year it was segments. What is it this year?
I think their inspection process that we go through this year, they unveiled their new Room of Doom and some of their things there. I think they're trying to work with the teams. I think the Chevy car is a huge, huge movement in the sport right now. I think Toyota last year came out with a car that was a race car. Yeah, they were on the highway, but they were designed to be a race car. Chevy has kind of followed suit and done the same thing, which has kind of left Ford out in the cold. Ford doesn't get a car for another year or so. So it's going to be interesting to see what NASCAR does to let them back in the game a little bit. I think we go to Daytona. There's the new ride height rule, which is a big issue. There's the limitation of team members that can go to the racetrack. NASCAR has limited the number of team members that can be at the racetrack on any given weekend. That's a big thing for these guys, because these guys were taking 6 guys to work on the car and 14 engineers to sit in the truck. That doesn't happen anymore. So there's a lot of subtle changes, and we're going to have to see, and I said it before, we're going to have to see the ripple effect of what the Chevy, what the limitation on team members, and what this new chassis program are the new chassis setups that we see at Daytona, how that all plays out.
Well, and the last year's 500 was really exciting with the the introduction of stage racing for the first time. People are really going for it. Do you think we have that same kind of action this year, Kyle?
Listen, as long as we have stage racing, you're going to have people going for it, because we saw last year, and I don't think people even realized it last year at the Daytona 500. I don't think it really sunk into a lot of people until we got back to Daytona in July, how important winning stages were, how important making points during those stage races were. We saw a lot of guys when we got to the end and we started into the playoffs who had those stage points, who had those bonus points, and they're sitting there saying, man, I'm in high cotton here. I make it on to the next round or the next round. Because of things they did in April and May, they were set in October and November. So I think we're going to see a lot more going for it this year than we saw last year.
Chase Elliott is now the contender for the Cup in your estimation. Who is now the face of NASCAR? Is it Chase Elliott?
No, I don't think there is a face of NASCAR. I think it's still Jimmy Johnson. It's still Jimmy Johnson. It's still the Kevin Harvicks. It's still the Kyle Bushes. It's guys like that. But I think the face is changing. Where the face used to have a little bit of whiskers on it, now it's just got peach fuzz on it. I think when you look at it, when you look at these young guys that are coming into the sport, they're just so incredibly young. They're 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. I mean, we go and they win the Coors Busch Award or the Coors Pole Award, and they can't accept it because they're not 21 years old, because they can't be around alcohol. So when you look at it, I think the sport is shifting a little bit, and I think this is a big shift this year. When we see a William Byron and an Alex Bowman and some of these guys come into the sport and put their name along, a Kyle Larson and a Chase Elliott and a Joey Logano, guys like that. This is going to be the future of the sport for the next few years.
Kyle, Paul, I'm going to butt in. I'm going to butt in and use your Mellow Yellow line. Kyle, maybe we can get the underage. Maybe we can get the underage guys to get a sponsorship for the pole from Mellow Yellow.
Yeah, listen, Mellow Yellow would be good. There's nothing mellow about it. Just remember that. No matter what you say, there's nothing mellow about it, dude.
Kyle, congrats on the engagement. We were kind of scanning your Instagram. You're engaged, and you're playing some acoustic sets across the country.
Yes, I'm starting some music stuff. Going to be playing in some honky tonks in local bars and stuff. I'm doing like 6 or 7 shows here in the next month or so. So thank you very much. I'm excited about that. I don't know if you want to hear. I tell people all the time, I used to drive a race car. If you made a mistake driving a race car, they haul you off in an ambulance. If you make a mistake singing, they just laugh at you. So I'll take the laughing a lot more than the ambulance ride.
Joe, what do you think? You got anything else?
No, I'm saying it's tax season. Kyle, have you even filed your taxes?
No, I have not. But as a matter of fact, I signed them the other day. I did sign them, so I'm way ahead. Look, usually I'm Mr. Extension when it comes to it. That's why I'm sitting here with Liberty Tax. They're going to start doing my stuff so I get it in on time.
Yeah, Brian, you have the big weekend this weekend. The veterans need to, what was that site again?
LibertyTaxVeteransHelp.com. And they've got 1 year, but go ahead and take advantage of it now.
Get your money. They've been holding your money, and now it's time to cash in this money. Right, Brian?
Absolutely.
Brian, who's your driver?
Say that again?
Who's your driver? And don't say Kyle Petty.
I was going to say number 48 is still the face of NASCAR, at least according to my 10-year-old son. He still thinks Jimmy Johnson rules the world.
Safe choice.
That was a safe choice. Well, we thank you guys for stopping by today.
Thank you, man.
Hey, thanks for having us.
All right, there it is,
guys.
Paul.
Have a great weekend.
Yep, thanks, guys.